Hello, so a couple of people have asked me about doing augmented reality video. So this one is going to be, I'll do one here and we'll see how it comes out. It's going to be slightly long, so I'll try and shorten it as much as I can. For now, we're starting with this model here. So basically, pick whatever file you want and I'll come in here. Let's just set the UCS back to world. And we want to resave this as a new file. So I'm going to take this into Fusion 360. So I'll just call it Fusion. And then I'll give the date of 3/3/2021, which is today's date. And we'll save that. Now, I have a couple of different structures here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete these. Come to the top. Just make sure, before I deleted those, just make sure all your layers are turned on. So all the layers are on, so let me delete those plates. I'll delete this text. I'll delete this compass. Cameras that are included in my template. Delete this. Select a camera. Right click. Select similar. Delete all the cameras. And pick the view boxes. I always draw a blank, so we want to click on the model views. That's what it is. And now you can go down here. We'll use the filter in a minute. For now, I like to do it this way. You can do this numerous different ways. You can do Q select. And you can go in here and you can pick line. You can go all, select all. Okay, it'll select all the lines, delete those lines. So basically whatever way you're comfortable with doing it. Now we can delete, we can go back, let's go back into the Q select. So Q select again. And let's see, there's some circles in here, some polylines. Let's pick the polylines. Select all, okay. Now you can do the same thing, you can select one and then do select all, and that works pretty good. It's telling me there's a circle here, I think it's this one over here. So we'll do Q select and come in here, pick the circle, okay. And we can see if we orbit, there's the circles. They're location markers for each level that I had in. So we're good. So let's come down here and go to our, let's go to our selection filters and let's come up here. See this one here? We'll do the model view boxes, but I've already deleted those. Click here and it'll delete the connections. So delete. So I've deleted the connections. Now I can go and delete the welds. So that selects all the welds, 452, you can see down here. Don't delete the welds before you delete the boxes, because then it will delete all the elements. So right, we're in pretty good shape there now. So what we can do is, I think that's basically everything. It doesn't really matter if you miss something, to be honest with you. A lot of things don't translate, it won't bring over the lines anyways. One other thing, I guess, let's do the Q select again. And let's see if there's any in here. Plate, 3D polyline. Let's see what the 3D polyline is. So it's this contour that I've drawn. So this is how I created this plate. So we can delete those. But if you missed them, it's alright. Alright, so let's save that. Now, I find that some of the apps, it's preferable not to have your UCS in this orientation. For the AUGIN app, which I use mostly, at least. So go to your, go down here to your UCS options and rotate around the X-axis. Because it seems like it'll lay it down on the ground if you don't do that. So let's save that again. Alright, so now we're pretty close, but we need to explode it. So what we're going to do is come back into your filters, and this will select all advanced steel objects because you don't want to explode. I have these drawn in as solids. You guys might draw them in as plates or concrete. So just use this filter, don't select everything, because if you have some solids, it'll explode them as well. So now go back up here to your modify, scroll down and explode. Now, just a tip for you, if you have curved stringers or curved elements, I find it works better to select those first, like this, and just do X and enter and explode. And it explodes them better for some reason. I won't get into that right now, but that's just a tip if you're having issues with curved elements. So now let's save that again. So Fusion, and I'm just going to put another name in here just in case something goes wrong and I need to go back. And we can see, so we have the saved one. So now you want to export this. There's a couple of different formats you can export. I just do the same one that I've always done. Not sure if it's any better than the other ones. So I'm going to export to other formats. I have exploded the model, so that's good. Let's go back to I'll go back to my main folder. This is the name is good for me. Save it. It'll ask you to select the elements. So I'll select the elements, and now that has exported that. Alright, so now I'm going to close down Advanced Steel. I'll open Fusion 360 and I'll just show you me uploading it. Alright, just give me a second. I'll be right back. Hi, so I'm in Fusion here. So I literally just shut down and opened. I didn't really save a lot of time, to be honest. So AirCAD, I've just go into my folder here, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this folder, I'll just call it, actually I'll put it in a YouTube folder, so I'll call it YouTube. Okay, click inside. Now you want to do upload. Select files, and let's go to that file which is on my H drive, and then look for IGES. There's the file, exploded IGES file. Okay, now that doesn't start uploading it straight away, so sometimes I end up waiting, but it's not uploading yet. You gotta upload it here again. So this is going to start to upload. Now this might take a little time. Sometimes it's pretty quick, so what you're going to do now is we're going to upload this. We've already put the UCS the way we want it, so we're okay. So we can change it now inside here. It seems to be the export from AutoCAD or Advanced Steel that is where it's crucial to have the UCS set. Otherwise, when you get the AUGIN app, your model is going to be laying down on the ground. So let's see. I'll pause this for a second until this uploads. It doesn't take usually longer than a minute or so. So I probably should have waited. I started a timer just when I paused the video, and it just took like not even 12 seconds. So we're pretty good. So what we want to do is close, and then we're going to go in and open this up. So as you can see, it's laying down now, which you'll think that's not what I want, but that is what we want, strangely. So, so what you could do now is, let's go to the top of this model, and let's click on the back button, because it's the back right now. Or we can go to the front, and then you're going to right click on the front of this and go to set current view as front, or you can do set current view as top. So now we have this set. So another thing we want to do is, let's go in here and let's check our bodies. So here's all the bodies. It's going to be a lot of them because it's going to be for everything there. So it's a little difficult at times when you want to try and find something, but as you can see, they highlight when you roll over them. But generally, unless you're moving elements, you're not going to worry about that. So right click here and create components and bodies. It's good practice. You don't need to do it if you're just rendering it, but if you want to do an animation, it is good practice to turn all these into components, because then you can move them individually. Otherwise, they're kind of like one block. So that's working on this right now. It shouldn't take too long. There you go. They're all components. So as you can see, if we click here, there's going to be a couple of hundred elements, but if you go through them, you'll be able to find where this one is on the list. It'll have a line underneath, or there it is there. So that's that component. So if you want to go and name all these, you can if you have a smaller model, but I'm not going to do that. I don't usually do that unless, if I do an animation of this, I might want to move the plates. I would name the plates so I can find them easily. Alright, so let's scroll back up to the top here and close down this menu. Let's minimize that. Alright, so now we're fairly ready to go. So what we can do now is, I should probably name the plates, because I don't know if I want to see the plates. So for now, let's just go in and render this a little bit. So let's come in here and let's close down the render gallery, give us a little room, and let's close down over here, and we want to go in here to appearance, and now we can see that these are our appearances. These are the colors that are in the model right now. So as you can see, this yellow seems to be these cover plates, this yellow seems to be all the other plates. So what we can do is we can add a metal finish. So these are plates, these are expanded metal. So let's do a metal finish. And let's do steel. And we'll do small galvanized. Now the problem you're going to have with these is, if you want to render this up, I'll try and cover two things in this video. So if we're going to render it, you're going to use something like this, right? So let's drag this up here. And now if we right click on this and select objects apply to, it selects all of these. So what I like to do then is I'll drag this over to here, and now it's applied that to those plates. So that is a galvanized finish. So if you want to see what that, now what I do is I go back to this one, which is now not being used, and I'll delete it because I don't want to see it anymore. And then this one, steel galvanized, I can edit this and make this cover plates. Alright, so that's now cover plates. So that's a kind of where I go with it. You don't, if you're going to use this for augmented reality, these finishes are not going to come out right now. I don't know if they're going to get better or whatever. So you're better off to put a fairly basic finish on these. So for now I'll do it this way, but I'll go back and switch it before we take it out to the AUGIN app. So we want to do stuff like concrete. So I can go to my favorites, and I probably have, these seem to get updated all the time. So you can see there's concrete, so we can just drag the concrete straight over to the concrete. And we can probably also put the concrete here. Now this concrete also will not come out in the AUGIN app. It's just going to come out like black. And black is not what you want. So like I say, I'll do this in two parts. I'll do a quick rendering of this and then we'll export it. So this plates are yellow. It's not really what I want, right? This also is expanded metal. So this might be it. That is that expanded metal. So as you can see, it has the same color finish as these pipes, and these are not expanded metal. So what we're going to do is we'll apply it to all of these anyway. these elements inside are hidden, so we're not going to see them. So let's go back to 3D steel. We'll go to mesh expanded thin. We'll drag that on here. So what I can do then is I can go back here and I can just drag this grey color back on here. And the other ones I won't see anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So now if you want to just have a quick look to see what's happening, we can go back here and just do play. And it'll start to render this up and you can kind of see what you're dealing with. So you can see through the expanded metal, which is good for rendering purposes. The blue looks a little funny, right? So we'll probably change the blue, the steel color we want to change. And I don't want to have green. Green is not ideal. These are all threaded rods also, but I'm not going to add the thread to these. You can if you want. I'm not going to. So what we'll do is let's stop the rendering. And we can do, let's see, let's change the steel color and those plates. So click back on your rendering tab and we want to go in here. Let's pick something nice for the steel. If I go to my favorites, let's see what we got in here. Steel rough, we can see what that looks like. So let's do right click on the blue, which should be those beams, select all objects, and then let's add the rough steel. See how that looks. Alright, so maybe those plates, the yellow is not bad to differentiate. So let's say we stick with the yellow for now, but maybe we want to have a steel finish. So this is steel rough, so that's okay. So what we can do is duplicate that and click on that again, double click, sorry, and roll over here, and let's change that to a type of yellow. Okay, and we can check the number here is 255 191. So let's change this to 255 191. It'll just have a metal finish and 0. Done. And you can see it's the same color, but it's changed. So let's do select objects applied to, and drag that on there. Okay, so the bolts are green. I don't want them green. Let's change them to like, we'll do a light color for change, like there somewhere. So a light color, and then we want to change. So let me see, what's that then? No, delete that. Select objects applied to, not the bolts. Sorry, I should have renamed that once I'm just trying to find which one was the bolts. It doesn't really matter. Let's just do it with the next one. So this is our threaded rods here. So double click on this and we'll just call it threaded rods. And then we can change the color of them. Let's go a little darker. Okay, done. So as you can see, you're getting somewhere with it for rendering purposes. So you can see there's plates inside there. So what we'll do now is let's brighten up the scene a little bit. So if we change the scene, so click next to this here, it'll give you scene settings, and I usually just do solid color, to be honest. Environmental library sharp highlights is not my favorite. Photo booth's usually pretty good, or cool light. So let's try cool light, and we'll zoom in a little bit, and we'll do a little rendering here and see. Sorry, click on the rendering, and you can see that it's going to render this up for us and give us a kind of a realistic feel. Now, I was going to change the blue there, but I kind of like it actually. So, there's a couple of different ways you can go with this from here. Let's see if I stop this. Let's just zoom in a little bit, just to give you a better idea. So you can see how the expanded metal looks there. And also, if you go back, so let's go back to the design stage. If you click on Create, Thread, and if I click on this, you can see this creates a thread on this. And you can also model that in so it's an actual thread. Okay. So now, if I go back to the Rendering tab, and press play, you can see, or you should see, that one of these is a threaded rod and one is not. And you can see the expanded metal there. So you can see it'll take a little bit of time. I mean, my computer is pretty powerful, but it could be more powerful. So let's see what that would look like in Photo Booth if we change the appearance. It might be a little bit brighter. So let's go Environment, Photo Booth, and now if we do play, that's actually darker. So you can change, but you can see the threads look pretty sweet there. So, maybe if I'm going for a close-up shot, what I'll do is, let's zoom out here, let's stop, let's go back to the design phase, and sorry, I pressed the wrong button there. Let's go to Create Thread, and let's pick this one. I think we can only do one at a time, Modeled, and if you swipe up with the right button pressed down, it'll do the previous command. Swipe up the right button, previous command. So now that'll be pretty sweet. So what we can do is, I'll just zoom in here, and then I'll go to Design, back to Rendering, and let's do a decal. We can do a decal, ADM, insert from the computer, sorry, and okay, let's see what we got. Have we got any? Let's go into logos. I'll just put my company logo in here somewhere. Oh, let's put this one in. Doesn't matter, it's just to show you. Select a face. So let's select this face. And there you go. Now this one has a white background, so sometimes it's better to have a clear background. So for now, let's just put this one in here. And let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, let's squeeze it in between these threaded rods maybe. Okay, we'll zoom back in so we can get those other threaded rods out of the way. Maybe we'll come back a little bit. And we can go to Render. And the good thing about doing the custom, you can do mobile here, but the size is different than what you're looking at the screen. So it seems that if you go to custom, you kind of get the size. I do local rendering. I don't need a transparent background. And then click on render. Depending on how many you have running, this will take a second to disappear as it's kind of taking a shot of your screen. So we can press play and we can kind of give us an idea of what we're going to get. So our final image will be something like this. So as you can see, you know, in 20-25 minutes you can export your model, get some renderings. So I guess the only issue now is these plates over here are kind of hampering what we want to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this. So for rendering purpose, this is fine, but there's more going on underneath. So what I could do is trying to think of the best way around it. So what we can do is let's go back into the rendering appearance, and we could change this to glass. Open the appearance tab. And let's come down. We can see we have some glass here. So what I can do is cover plates, select objects applied to, put your glass, and then shoot the glass on there. It might take a second. Now, obviously it's not glass, but it gives you a way to show the cover plates and what's below it. So that glass might be a little bit too dark. So let me do play and see what that looks like. It's not bad, but it's blue, you know. I don't know if I want it to be blue. Maybe if I can see if it can be. Let's click on it and let's see if we switch this. Sorry, it can take a second because I should have just clicked here. It takes a second because it's changing the colors as I'm scrolling across, which is not ideal. So let's just click over here somewhere. We'll change it to a lighter color. And, you know, it's pretty labor intensive on the computer. So it can slow down for a second every now and again. So it's a bit bogged down there now at the second. So just be careful with the glass. It's probably better just to type it in here, because it's going through all the times that I clicked on it up here. And I don't really need for it to do that. But I don't think there's a way out of it. So let's just wait for it. And it's hopefully going to be done in a second. That's what happens when I was over anxious and I clicked on it a little bit too many times. Alright, so I guess that's a good lesson. Don't just keep clicking on it when it's glass. Just maybe find the color you want by clicking on one of these other ones. Alright, so sorry about that. So click on one of these, you can just pick the color number and type it in, or something similar. So now, let's see what we got. So now we have this. So let's say we want to render this again. So let's render this. And let's do, see if you do mobile, the problem is you have to zoom in a little. So zoom in further than you want to see. And then do render, and then click render, and let's see, we'll let that work away. Maybe we'll do one top view, and if I go to top view, something like that, what I'll do is I'll go back in here and I'll go render, and we'll do custom and local render and render again. So that's just doing 3 renderings. The first one will close up. I do front view, top view. You can do as many renderings as you want. Okay, so now let's go down. You can see how long is left with the renderings. You can see this one is still 20 minutes, so we're not going to see it. But what you're going to get is something like this. If I close this down, squeeze this into the screen, you can also let this play out by rendering here, and this will play out. You can see it working along here. So it's pretty cool. You can see the plates. You know, the glass is not a perfect look, but it's a good way to see through it. Yeah, you could just note that, you know, or you can just delete it if you want. You can delete those elements. But I would suggest copying the file first. So, like, that looks pretty decent, right? But I would have to wait for this to finish, and then we can capture the image of the screen. So for now, I guess that's your best way to do rendering. I would suggest that decals, use clear decals, work a little better. And I'll continue with a second part to this video for exporting to the AUGIN app. So there'll be a part 1 and then there'll be part 2. I'll probably just copy this. So the next video will show you just to copy this file over and then change the appearances again. Alright, hope that helps. Alright, thank you. So this is the part 2 of the video, so I'm going to go from Fusion 360 to the AUGIN app. So first, this is the model that I was using to render in in Fusion 360. This will not export great because it finishes on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these elements. So I don't want to remove them and lose them. So what I'm going to do is check the time on this here. You can see this is 9:49, and then I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to copy it to the same folder, copy, and then you can see the time on this one is 10:16, which is the time now. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to name this AUGIN, or we can just call it AR depending where we're going to use it. So I'll leave this one open because it's got some renderings running in it, as you can see here. I don't think it's going to give me a preview yet. It's too early. Ah, there it is. So we can close that. So now what I found is I have used a glass finish before, which did actually work. Now it wasn't clear. But, so what we're going to do is let's make sure we don't start working in this one. Let's open this other one. And it'll open our second file up here, which will be called LIPA AR. This is it here. So, it's, again, reset this. So, let's click on this as the top. Make sure you click on it to have it going at a 90-degree angle first. Very important. So let's set this as the top. Okay. So now, for my model purposes, I don't want these because I won't be able to see, because the augmented reality right now, the way I use it, it doesn't. So it doesn't. You can't see true elements just yet. So create bodies from components again. And create bodies from components. It'll take a second. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn off these plates. So what we can do is double click on them. We can find one and we should be able to get the rest of them. So you can either turn them off or you can delete them. Usually when I copy the file, I'll just delete them because I have the original file here anyway. So this is taking just a little bit longer because the other file is doing some renderings for me. So these should turn to components right now. And then what we'll do is double click on these and these. We'll turn them all off because all we want is the structure. Now if I click on it and right click, sometimes it'll let you delete these, other times it won't. See, it's an error, you have to find it in here to delete it. So let's click on this one and we'll scroll down. And because we're running renderings in the other one, like I just said, it'll be a little bit slower, it can be a little jumpy. Now here's your first plate. So click on the second one. Yeah, so a lot of times you can see that's a plate there as well. This is a side plate. So what we'll do is we can come in here and let's just delete it. We'll just do it the easy way. We'll delete that one. So that's 15 is gone. So if I click here, we can see that's 12, 9, 6. Can't see that one. So we'll just delete these ones. So 12, 9, and 6. Alright, so we deleted the front. So what we'll do is we'll just delete the front plates, right? So let's click on this one. Double click. Let's scroll. We don't know what direction it is. It could be up or down. It doesn't seem to be up here, so it's probably the other direction. Just scroll the whole way anyway. So, ideally I wouldn't really have another project running at the same time in Fusion because, as you know, I'm sure it's an online program, so it's not just relying on your computer, it's also relying on your internet and other things. So if we keep scrolling, it could be a little time consuming, but I figured it was better to include it in the video. You can always fast forward through it. So sometimes it's better to just grab this bar. There you go. So there it is there. So it takes a little time, but I mean doesn't take forever. So let's click on these other ones, see if they should be close to it. There you go. So it's this 4 here. So let's start with this one. Delete. Yeah, it didn't delete the first one because I had it selected like that and it was trying to delete the face. So what number was that again? Sorry. 361. Delete. 359. Delete. Now you can also rename these. So I could call this cover plate 1, But we won't, we'll delete it. Alright. The ones on the top, let's not worry about them ones. So now what we're going to do is, some of these appearances will go through. So what we'll do is, let's render it a little bit. So let's render this. Let's go to appearances. And we're going to change some of these appearances. Because this is not going to work as wire mesh as far as I know. So it'll just end up coming out black. So if we do, I had a glass set up before which worked really well, but it's apparently not saved. So what we can just do is we'll just do something like steel and we'll just change. So we'll duplicate this and let's back the color down a little bit to a light color, and let's select all the objects and let's apply that to this. Now you're going to have a certain amount of tricking around with this to get it right for yourself, so don't worry about it. So I'm just going to click on these fast. You should also rename these. These are the bolts, so we can rename this bolt so you can find it again easier. And you can see the bolts have changed there. This stainless steel, let's see. So we might be okay. Let's change this. We can delete that. That does not on anything. Let's change the steel color. Now, one tip I'll give you that I didn't do correct. When I copied this file, the reasons it doesn't have the appearances on it is because in this other one, I should have gone to save and saved it as a version 2. And if you look over here, you'll see this change. So I should have realized when I looked at this that it was still the original save. So when I copied it over, that's why it copied over the way it did. So just keep that in mind. If you wanted to keep these when you copy it, save it first and then copy it. So now you can see the appearances are on this one. So that's why that didn't happen. But that's fine. It doesn't really matter because I was going to I wanted to do the appearances again anyway. So let's check. Select objects applied to. Alright, so that's those plates. So let's go to appearances. And let's go to. You have to go to something pretty simple. Let's go to an aluminum. Bead blasted. We'll try that and see. Now, like I said, it's going to be a lot of trial and error here. Let's click on these beams. Let's back them down to a kind of a blue color, a light. Let's go lighter even. And these clips, let's just rename that to clips. And let's back the color down to darker and in between. Nah. Let's change it to like some sort of red or something like that, like an orange, a yellow. The yellow seems to be kind of safe, blue and yellow. So, alright, so I think we're pretty good there. I don't want this concrete to have a concrete finish because then it won't show up properly. So what I might do is, let's see what happens when we put some glass on it. Let's just do a light colored glass. And we'll apply that to all of these. Now I could have just selected them up here in the browser like I did before, but you can also just drag them on like this. So to give you an idea what this looks like, let's change the background. Let's go to the now you can see there's a lot of settings in here. You can play around with perspective, all those things. You can save the defaults. I don't usually, I just kind of start from scratch each time. It doesn't take that long. So you get something like that. If I close that and then do play, you can see it'll render that and it'll give you an idea of what it looks like, right? So it's not really what we want it to look like, but that should hopefully work for the AUGIN app. So let's export and we'll see what happens. So first of all, let's stop this and let's save this as version 2, and you'll see the image will change here from that yellow and the plates will be gone on the front. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to export this. So that the AUGIN app is the FBX file. So I'm going to go to here, I'm going to File, Export. It's set to F3D first, so go to FBX file. Where do I want to save that? I'll save that back into the folder where the job was, which is this folder here, and that's fine. And export. Now it's going to take a minute, so I'm going to sneak over here, and on the other screen I'm just going to type in AUGIN app, and I'm going to scroll down and it's AUGIN.app, and it can be in Spanish. I'm just going to try and get logged in before I drag this on. I'm going to enter the site, and now I'm going to bring it across. So now I'm in my AUGIN app. It's a free account. The guys are very helpful if you need some help. It's in Spanish, as you can see, I believe, maybe Portuguese. So we can upload. So it does give you an option when you go to the home page to change this to English, and English, okay, and now we've changed it to English. So project name, I'm going to call it LIPA, and then we choose the file. So we're ready, so let's minimize that. Let's see, so this is still working away. This can take a little bit of time, so I'll pause it here. It might take a couple of minutes, and then we'll get back to it. And I'll see you in a second. So the file is uploaded. You know, it took probably 5 minutes. So let me get back here. If I go to the file, I'm going to choose the file. I'm going to go back in here, and this is the file FBX. Open. So you can see here there's two file formats, IFC and FBX. I haven't really tried the IFC. I'll try that next, and you know, that'll be a quick export from Advanced Steel and a quick upload, and so I can check the differences. So what I'll do is the FBX file first. I do the FBX because I render a lot of projects anyway, so I have to bring them into Fusion anyway. So we'll just upload that. Doesn't take too long. Project was successful, and then you need to go to your tablet. And I'll record what's on the tablet and show you. So, alright. Hi, so I recorded this on my iPad, but the sound wasn't very good, so I'm going to do a voiceover on this. So here I am, I'm on the iPad, and I'm on my screen, and you can see the AUGIN app there in the top left hand corner. So I'm going to click on that. Here's the app here. So I'm going to click on the app, it'll open, and it's just going to load up whatever settings I have in there, whatever models I have in there. As you can see, I have a couple of extra models. I changed some of the appearances. I changed the concrete from a glass to a grey color. If you change it to concrete, it's going to come up black. So you kind of have to do a plain color, like just use one of the steel and just change the colors. That's you're fairly limited there. So this is, it doesn't load that fast. I cut out the center of the upload. It takes a minute or two. So you can see here we have the AUGIN AR icon here. Here's your model. You can rotate this model by just using your fingers on the screen, as I'm doing there. It's on its side because I kept the iPad in landscape mode because I want to view in landscape mode, so the video's not switching over and back. So now you'll see this grid appear, and this grid is to locate. So you can see touch to place the model. So this before used to find it difficult to pick a surface, but it works really good now. And you can see here the model has come in a pretty large size, probably close to right scale, I'd say. Hard to tell really, but probably. So just use your fingers, pinch your fingers together like you do on a screen to make a photo bigger or smaller. Then there's also the X-ray mode. The screen recording is a little choppy. The AUGIN app is not that choppy. It's a lot more smooth than what you're seeing here on the screen. So you can see I have some holes there. That's why there's lines on those plates. You can see through the plates, which is really good. You can see through everything. So that's the X-ray mode. Now you can also go to the edit button there, and there's some other options. You can cut through the model, so you can cut from the top down. You can also cut from the bottom up, but it also moves the model down through the zero axis, which is good. It looks really good. Now if I hit the X-ray button twice, it'll go back to shaded mode, and I can pull it back up shaded, which is kind of cool. So as I just want to repeat that the choppiness is from my video recording. It's not from the AUGIN app. I'm doing a screen recording there, and obviously it doesn't work so good. So as you can see, I just took a screenshot there, so you can take screenshots. So it really is quite useful. The app works really good now. I used to use a different app. And also it's automatic upload. Some of the other ones aren't automatic upload. So I hope that helps.